12:33 ABC Newcastle.
9. Health and fitness guru Michelle Bridges. You've seen her on the telly, you've seen her in the products in store. Well, she's come under fire today for suggesting that women who've just given birth could jog for around 20 minutes as part of their exercise regime. Now, Michelle gave birth 3 weeks ago and in her post said she does 50 minutes of jogging per day. But the people who aren't quite as fit or fit professionals as she is should tone it down to around 15 to 20 minutes a day after 3 weeks of giving birth. Controversy it has stirred, that's for sure. We're going to speak to a physiotherapist on this topic in a moment, but first, 12:33's Karen Shrewsbury has been out and about asking local mums about how they tackled their exercise post-delivery.
I'm Georgia and this is Dash, she's 2.5, and Olympia, she's nearly 6 months.
When did you start getting back into the walking and exercising after giving birth?
Pushing the two of them around, probably kind of had to start doing that about 6 weeks, and then actually, doing lengthy walks, probably not till they were she was probably 2 months old.
Right, so not quite as soon as what Michelle Bridges suggests. And was it just walking that you did?
Well, I actually did go to a pelvic floor physio and saw my obstetrician after the delivery and asked them what they advised. And as far as running, they both said 12 weeks. So I started doing jogging after 12 weeks.
Right, okay. And how did you find it?
Oh, it was fine because I was doing what the pelvic floor physio told me to do, so I was pretty diligent, especially at the beginning, about those exercises. So that suited me, but I think doing it earlier, I would have just been wary of. I didn't want to cause any damage.
I gotta run. I'm Superwoman, flying through the city.
I'm Hillary, and this is Abigail, who's 6 months, and James is nearly 3.
So you've got one in the pram and one in a baby born on your front.
Yes.
Is this a typical exercise regime for you at the moment?
Yeah, this is about all I can do at the moment because I don't have anyone to look after the kids, so all I can do is exercise with them, which is really just walking.
Oh, with the dog too. I can't forget the dog.
Yeah.
So what did you do after you gave birth to both of them? How long was it until you actually got out and started walking or jogging?
It would have I did try to go for a jog, I think, at around 6 weeks, and it didn't feel quite right. So probably would have been 8 or 10 weeks until I was really able to go for any sort of runs, but I still don't do that very often. It's really just walking.
So I managed to find somebody who hasn't quite had the baby yet. What's your name?
I'm Hannah.
And how far pregnant are you?
30 weeks today.
So you're out walking this morning. How are you feeling about that?
Feeling great. Feeling high and life.
Michelle Bridges, I don't know if you've heard, she said that after she gave birth, she got straight back into jogging, and she's saying that, if you get back into jogging after 3 weeks, then that's could be a good thing. What do you think about that?
Yeah, I think that's great. I think for your mental health too, just after pregnancy, it's a big thing to just get active, and it helps the soul, helps the mind, and getting back fit and healthy. I'm all for it.
Are you an active person?
Yeah, I am.
We did boot camp this morning together, yeah.
Really?
Yeah, it was great. And still running, yeah, love it. I'll keep going until my body really says stop, but for now it's fine, so I'm still going.
Well, maybe you might be one of those that Michelle says can start jogging after giving birth. You're obviously very
Michelle, preach it, sister.
I gotta run. Me oh my. A number of mums out locally this morning responding to Karen Shrewsbury's queries to them about, well, what do they think? Michelle Bridges says get out there and run 3 weeks after delivering your bundle of joy. It's a message that's concerned some physiotherapists who worry that women could actually suffer irreparable damage in the quest to get back to their pre-baby body. Anthony Lowe, physiotherapist at the Physio Detective, who's specialised in postnatal conditions, has got some thoughts to share with us now. Welcome to 12:33, Anthony. Can all women exercise 3 weeks post-birth?
Hi, Jill. Thanks for having me on. Look, I think the short answer is that it's individual. Michelle Bridges is obviously a very fit woman. I've met her in person. I know Steve. These are very fit people, very well conditioned, and have done years of it. And in that particular post, she said that, you have to scale it back to your own abilities.
even so, you can tail it back. She was saying, nonetheless, that anyone could be doing, maybe 15 to 20 minutes a day. Can anyone do 15 to 20 minutes a day exercise 3 weeks after giving birth?
I wouldn't blanket rule say everyone. I would say you need to check with a women's health physiotherapist for an internal examination because we don't know what state your body is in. We can say generally that most people aren't ready to do that, and you tend to be able to feel when you're ready and not, or not, and that's the feedback that I get from my patients. But also, she may have been using a pessary for support. That's an internal support device which can help support the internal organs and prevent distension and worsening of things like prolapse and mitigation of things like stress urinary incontinence, for example.
What, leaving a pessary in while she was running?
So that's one of the treatment options that you can have during exercise to help support the internal organs and protect against injury.
Your point there then, Anthony, is that Michelle Bridges has a long track record of running and high level of fitness, and she might have been taking preventative precautionary measures such as inserting a pessary to keep her bits in place while she was out pounding the pavement.
Absolutely. We don't know if she was working with a women's health physiotherapist who has cleared her for such things. Like I said, I recommend all postnatal women to have an internal check with a physiotherapist. It's not the same as a gynecological check. I don't do them myself. I have lots of friends who I refer to do these. But what I do is I deal with women who do heavy weights, for example, and CrossFit. And so working with a women's health physiotherapist, I help women through pregnancy and after pregnancy to be able to exercise at high levels. And so I know these things are possible. However, there are women's health physiotherapists that are quite upset about what Michelle has said because, rightly so, there are risks to different populations, and we have to know what's going on inside their bodies so that we can tell them what the possible risks are from what we know from research.
What are the biggest risks of exercising too soon after giving birth?
Sure. So, there are hormonal changes, and I call them pregnancy hormones because we can't put our finger on one hormone. So pregnancy changes allow laxity in the tissues, and those laxity, the laxity can lead to problems such as worsening of a prolapse. You may have had an episiotomy or a tear in your pelvic floor during the delivery, and so that can affect the healing. We know about intra-abdominal pressure and the viscera, the internal organs coming down on your pelvic floor and your pelvic organs, and that can cause problems as well. There's also pelvic pain, so irritation of the nervous system, and so we're talking about things like chronic pelvic pain that can develop if you don't take steps to mitigate that. We're talking about stress urinary incontinence, urge incontinence. The list goes on and on. There's lots of things that we discuss and that we educate women on. And all of those can be exacerbated with running. Having said that, we know that obesity and being overweight is one of the biggest risk factors for certain things like stress urinary incontinence, and it can make pelvic organ prolapse worse. So, we do want women exercising. We do want women taking care of their health, taking care of their diet. But 3 weeks out, you've got to be committed to your fitness. You've got to be like a professional athlete in your level of understanding of your body. And like I said, even if walking to the letterbox to get the mail feels awkward for you, you're not ready to run. You have to listen to your body. You have to get an internal check with a women's health physio.
Anthony Lowe with us on 1233 this morning. He's a physiotherapist who's been watching the big discussion that's been going on online since exercise guru Michelle Bridges told the world that 3 weeks after giving birth she was out running daily for at least 50 minutes a day, I think is the number. But Anthony, you've made it very clear that it shouldn't be for all women, and she did put a caveat, if you're not fit, then maybe you should dial it down a little. But there is a lot of pressure, I think it's fair to say, and I wonder if you agree, on women to look fit and fabulous very quickly after giving birth.
Absolutely.
So this could be a bit risky in as much as, oh gosh, I better get out there, I have to look fabulous.
Absolutely. It's not about the image for me, it's about your health. And so we have to balance up all the known health benefits for women in exercise and lifting weights. For instance, did you know that the research into pressure and lifting weights only goes to 18.2 kilos? We don't know what happens to the female body and the pressure on the pelvic floor after 18.2 kilos. That's a massive hole in the research that I'm hoping to address soon. And I've got women, like yesterday I saw a woman who can squat 142.5 kilos, and we honestly don't know what's going on inside the vagina. We don't know what's going on in her pelvic floor. We don't know what's happening in terms of pressure on her body because the research doesn't exist to tell us what's happening. So I want to really fill that hole and hopefully taking steps to find out what's going on in there. It's actually an area of research that I'm interested in.
Very interesting, given that this is such a fundamental part of the human body for the survival of the human race.
Well,
The vagina.
But yes, absolutely. We need them to help produce the next generation. But the other thing that we need to do is we need to recognise that just walking is not enough for women. The research is coming out more and more and more saying that the stronger you are and the fitter you are, and doing weights is essential to helping mitigate the effects of menopause and osteoporosis. For example, the Australian and the American equivalent, well, the Australian equivalent of the CDC recommends that you do it's essentially 5 days of exercise, 30 minutes a day of moderate intensity, with 2 of those days needing muscle strengthening exercises, and weights is the perfect way to do that. So we know from research what we need to be doing. Unfortunately, what's going on out there isn't happening. Now, Michelle's example may be extreme, but it's certainly in the direction that I want to head, which is we need to be thinking sensibly about what recommendations to give women, because the current ones that we give them are not protecting them well enough.
On that note, Anthony Lowe, I'm going to thank you so much for being with us this morning here on 1233. Lots of information, important and useful to the health of mums, future generations, not the least of them, and I do need to wrap up on this, that an internal check by a physio is very different to an internal check by a gynecologist. Important
Absolutely.
Differentiation.
Absolutely. Thank you very much for your time, Jill, and the opportunity to spread this health message.
Anthony Lowe is his name. Very, very interesting topic this morning. I'd love to know your experience, your thinking around it. When is the right time? When did you decide to pick up your exercise routine after delivering your baby or babies? Here's a text that's come in from a midwife. All joints and ligaments are affected by hormones, which loosen them, especially during lactation. Women are supposed to eat, feed and rest for 6 weeks and then resume exercise gradually. Wise words it would seem there from a midwife who was texted in on 0487 99 1233. You can yourself, you don't have to be a health professional, your experience. We welcome right here on 1233 ABC Newcastle. We have ticked along to 25 to 10. It is well and truly time for a news catch up from you, Dan Cox.
G'day.